Hi folks, my name is Sarah, and in this week's video we're going to go over on-the-go spine. And I thought we would do something that you can use in your car. We get a lot of people, well, pretty much everyone, when you go on a long drive, if you're over 25, it starts to bug your back after a while. Things get tight, and it absolutely makes sense. You're just sitting in this position where the muscles that attach into your pelvis kind of get shortened for a long period of time, and then you stand up, and it's like, just loads tension to your back, plus your back's inhabiting not the best position for a long period of time as well. So one thing that you can do in your car seat with your seatbelt on, it's very limited, obviously, because it's, you know, you're in your car seat. You can do a couple things, but mostly it's kind of working with your SI joint and pelvis. So you're, kind of bolted back in your car seat here. And you're going to basically just kind of start doing some SI tucks. And so you're trying to tuck the pelvis front to back like this, but try to work just like way down at that SI joint. So um, again, you might need a little bit of freedom from the seatbelt, but it should be something that's totally doable. And you can kind of work that. You can do that possibly while you're driving. It might not be safe to do while you're driving, maybe more of a um, passenger thing, but you can do basically cars for your SI joint. You can try to roll up a little farther into your lumbar, back and forth there. And then you can start working with different motions that your pelvis can do. So I'm going to show you essentially, I got to stay back because obviously you're not going to be able to sit on the front of your seat. You can start to lift one side of your pelvis and the other side of your pelvis. And so it might be hard to see on the video, but I'm basically trying to lift this hip up and away, and then this side up and away. So I'm feeling my right glute kind of come away from the seat, and then my left glute come away from the seat. I'm trying to isolate it down low so that I'm not really, using my whole torso here. Again, it's just that kind of like SI pelvic mechanics down there. I'm kind of bracing by holding onto the arms of this chair. You may need to, like it's probably more challenging to do it without it for sure. But if you have something that you can push against, you get a little more purchase. So you can push down on the car, arm, console, hold on to the oh shit handles. So anyways, back and forth like this. And then pelvic rotation here. So you can, if you can see my knees, you might not be able to see my knees, and I got black on, but basically, my femurs are kind of pistoning a little bit. And so I'm rotating my pelvis one way and then the other way, one way and then the other way. So it's like burp, burp, burp. It's like this, like that, while you're sitting down. Maybe from a side angle. And then you can kind of, do a full circle, some circles if you want. In class, we had a funny visual, slightly inappropriate visual, but that's you may, as you get to know me, my MO kind of. But I use it because it totally works, and it's the image of basically trying to draw, like if you had a crayon someplace, and you're trying to draw a big circle with it, as big of a circle as you can, and so that sort of you're kind of pointing your pelvic outlet this way around in a circle, and so whatever color crayon you like, works, and then go the other way. So it's, going to make you a better dancer. You'll get out of the car ready to samba. Anyways, you can go back and forth doing those. But then maybe more importantly, when you get out of the car, like if you hit a rest area, do some spine cars, these guys. Could probably do them standing rather than kneeling. I'm not going to need this again, so I'll just move it. Forward, rotate right, side bend, extend, rotate, side bend, and flex, and then go the other way. And you're trying to get all of the bones of your spine going. And so we're working the spine basically between the shoulders and the pelvis. So I'm not, my pelvis is kind of fixed and I'm moving my whole spine on top of that. So you're trying to get your T-spine to move, especially an extension where it doesn't like to move, and then go in the other way. So that's a good, rest area, pit stop. And then a really great stretch for post car ride is kind of trying to stretch the tissues in the front of the hip that have been so shortened. So you can pull forward here. You can also do the standing. So say you get somewhere and it's really awkward for you to get down on the ground, you could just do this. So, it's all about how you angle the pelvis. They call that bowing the stretch in Kinstretch. And so I'm just trying to feel this stuff. If you want, you can kind of rotate up a little bit more to try to get into the deeper, like maybe some psoas tissues in there. And so for your psoas, you're kind of trying to think those muscles attached to my spine and my the front of my hip. So you're kind of trying to pull those apart and away from each other. So you can do these just like the classic pails and rails. So you can hold this stretch for a minute. And then dig down for 10 seconds. So I'm going to shorten that a little bit up for you guys today, just for explanation's sake here. We're going to dig that foot forward to pails here. If you want to, you can pause this video and hold the stretch for a little bit longer if you really need to do this. Dig down and forward. Keep holding there. Relax, try to stretch a little bit more. And then for rails, you're going to try to pull the leg back farther, basically just trying to accentuate the position with your own muscles. But I like to do it a little bit beyond my active range. So I'm going to sink into this a little bit to where I can't lift my foot off the floor. But pull, flex your butt. And relax. Okay, switch sides. Then you would hold that passage stretch on this side for another minute or two. We're just doing a truncated version today. I am half intending this to be something that you guys kind of just take off and use when you're in the car, and that you do as needed when sitting a lot. And pails, dig down and forward, meaning this leg is like that. And rails, pull everything back, squeeze your butt, try to pull your leg farther into this position, pull your belly back more. And relax. Cool. So that's one main stretch to do. And again, you can do that in this kind of kneeling position. Puts a little more pressure on your knee, which helps you to kind of, I think you get a little bit better of a stretch doing it this way. I personally do. Possibly because you don't have to work so hard actively to make the stretch happen. But then the next one that you want to do is a hamstring stretch. So your hamstrings are also in a short position, and it's kind of the blame for a lot of the reason that most of us can't touch our toes anymore or put our shoes on is because we sit in chairs all of the time, like they call bucket seats. We're always in this short hamstring position like this. So what do we want to do? Lengthen it out and stretch it. So I would say that if you like get out of a car and immediately do those, or even if you sit at your desk all day, same thing. So you're wiggling your pelvis around and you have to pee in your seat. And then whenever you can, if not at least at the end of the day when you get home, stretch out the front of the hip, stretch out your hamstring. And do those pails and rails because those make that a viable, strong position rather than just enhancing your bendiness, which can be sketchy. Okay, dig down and back. And so when I say down and back, it's kind of the sensation like you're trying to take your shoe off of your foot. So the hamstring does, or hamstrings do two things. They bend the knee and then they also extend the hip. So you want to do both. So pushing down is extending the hip, and then kind of scooting the foot back towards you is trying to bend the knee. Keep your knee soft, by the way, on this so that you don't stretch your sciatic nerve. Digging down and back, and then rails here is kind of trying to lift the foot off. And I'm going to tip my pelvis forward so that it's at an angle where I can't quite lift off. And relax. And then you would go into a deeper stretch and hold. If you want to, pause the video and grab that stretch. Same thing on this side, angle forward. It is so smoky here. I'm not sure if some of you guys are not in California, but ooh, it is hardcore right now. Okay, digging down and back with that heel. And relax. And then rails, try to lift off. I can work harder if I'm holding on to something like this. Just to, like, regularly here, try to rails is not as effective as if I've got something. If you have like a stick you can dig down with a PVC pipe, yoga blocks to push into, something, it helps. Relax, and then a deeper stretch if you have time for another minute or two. And again, so you can do these stretches for 1 minute on either side of that 10-second pails and rails. And then you've got the ramp up, so it's probably 30 to 40 seconds in there total. Or you can do a full 6 minutes in that position. So like a 3 minute on either side sandwich with the pails and rails in the middle. And again, if you're choosing to do pails at a level that is not a max effort, and there's a number of reasons that you would choose to do that. So say you have some SI joint dysfunction, your back's a little wonky, your hamstrings are wonky, anything where you've got like a slightly suspect area, it's definitely safer to start with a smaller level contraction. But if you're doing a lighter contraction, you want to hold for longer until there's some fatigue going on. I like to do that anyway, at least as things progress, especially to progress them, because that's how strength adaptation happens. So this is strength training. It is like rounding out the joints and the lengths of tissues that you don't normally get in a regular strength training session. So it works the same as strength training. You have to push some kind of mechanical stress in order for there to be some kind of like, oh, I have to change, I have to get stronger. If it's easy all the time, it's not really going to work that well. That's why they have you do the high intensity isometric. But if you're just brand new to it or you have some issues, the high intensity might be a bit much at first. So play around with that, but just keep in mind that it's the same principle as strength training. So there has to be some kind of fatiguing effort going on in order for you to adapt basically to that. Okay, see you guys.